Hey Oz,
Hey Curtis.
what movie we watching this week?
This week we got the love letter of Gangs of New York
Okay,
plus 300
makes complete sense.
plus Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Love it.
This week we are watching The Warriors. Oh,
Gangs of New York was perfect.
oh
This,
yeah,
that is that. Yeah, that was the perfect start to the movie Marriage.
and it's
I don't
just
think we've had I don't think we've had a more perfect opening
no,
line to a
no.
movie Marriage.
It's actually a better title for this movie than it was the movie that it was the
Yeah.
title for.
That one would have been better as The Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. This one. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme, this month being war movies, and we bring movies to talk about them. So I'm one of your hosts, Oz,
I'm the other host, Curtis.
and here we are, episode 108, talking about one of my... It's like, I won't say I forget how much I love this movie, but like it never crawls into like my top 5 favorite movies. But
Same.
I would say this movie is probably more rewatchable than some of the movies in my top 5. You know, like it's just awesome. Walter Hill did just an awesome job on this movie of like, I could just turn my brain off and just watch this movie. And it's just 70s machismo. And
It's just fun. It's just fun.
it is, I think easily, it is the most like video game movie we've covered so far. You know, it's really just level 1, level 2, level 3, boss fight.
Level 2, Cyrus is dead.
Fight.
Level 4, the Baseball Furies.
The Lizzies. And so
Bonus round.
And then you have to go find a car and beat it up like you did in like Super Street
You
Fighter
beat me
2.
to it. Then they punch a car for a while.
Yeah, this looks like a great place to park my car.
Oh no!
Oh man. So, but no, we are covering the Warriors today. Like you're right. Like, Gangs of New York was just a no-brainer. Like watching this movie Marriage, and I'm like, well, Gangs of New York.
It's literally about gangs in New York.
300 felt appropriate. And then of course
the small band.
Yeah. And then, of course, Carmen Sandiego, just because she's the host of the game show and she's also the radio jockey for this particular film. So, there we are. Before we get rolled too far, we want to give a shout out to our favorite Warriors, Patreon subscribers, Don S., Aaron A., and Mandy K. Thank you for your patronage. If you had to put our Patreon subscribers into a gang from this movie, which gang do you think they would fit?
Ooh, which gang would they be in? I would put Aaron A. in the Baseball Furies.
Okay, I would have put her in the Orphans.
The Orphans. I would put Don S. Don S. is in the Orphans. He's the orphan leader.
Yeah, Don S. he would have been in one of the gangs that wasn't necessarily featured, but was one of the ones attending. He would have been in the he would have been in the satin purple vested gang.
The SPVs, satin purple vest.
with his ginger do, he would have been more appropriate in the actual Gangs of New York, though. So
yeah, Mandy K would have been in. I forget the name of the gang, but the one who was in that like school bus.
Oh,
that was like chasing him down. Yeah, she would have been standing on the hood with a mace in one hand, just screaming at the top of her lungs.
I would have put Mandy Kay in the Lizzies just because I could see her doing that sweet jukebox dance.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
although I think she's probably I think Mandy Kay would be a better shot than the Lizzies.
Oh yeah. Those ladies are descendants of stormtroopers for sure.
Yes, yeah. That's where the stormtrooper line begins with them.
My daddy was a stormtrooper. So, we are This is week 4. Yeah, week 4 of November, and so my movie this week, and you've got the cast.
I got the cast, you got the plot, my friend, of War Movie Month. Again, consecutive letters, WAR.
Yep.
I'll start by saying that this movie was executive produced by a very young Frank Marshall.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, you know, for as B of a movie as this is, it had some pretty hefty. Again, they weren't names at the time, but Frank Marshall and Walter Hill.
Oh, yeah.
both the creative team behind this. So
Walter Hill was a name at this time.
well, he was I guess becoming one because he did Alien, right? He was involved in Alien.
Yeah, same year he produced it. Okay, maybe I was a little ahead because I forget the war, but like you had with Walter Hill, you had 48 Hours, Southern Comfort, Streets of Fire, Brewster's Millions, Red Heat. You know, so who was I thinking when I said Walter Hill? Anyway, go ahead. I'll figure out who I was talking about.
It's probably Walt Goggins, character actor Walt Goggins. But yeah, so those two were involved, which I think really shows in the final product, just with how fun this movie
I figured
is.
it out.
Yeah.
It was a cardinal sin. I was confusing him for George Roy Hill.
Oh, okay. Of
Butch,
the Sting and
of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and Slaughterhouse-Five. Yeah, That's where I was. Sorry.
Sorry, Walt.
Sorry, Walt. Sorry, George Roy. GR probably
GR Roy.
So, but yeah, you're right. There are some heavy hitters involved for sure.
As far as the cast goes, we have Michael Beck as Swan, the assumed leader.
Yeah.
As we'll get into the plot here. Young James Remar as Ajax in this. Fun fact: was Walter Hill a producer on Aliens as well?
Yes.
Yeah, because James Remar was originally cast as Hicks, the Michael Biehn character, and it just ended up not working out, and they removed him. But I guess there's one scene in which you still see James Remar. It's like the back of Hicks in a shot.
Okay,
it's kind of like Michael J. Fox replacing what's his name from Back to the Back to the Future. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and also to kind of go with that, Michael Beck was discovered for this movie because I guess Walter Hill went to see a play that Sigourney Weaver was in because they were kind of eyeballing her for Ripley, and she was starring like opposite Michael Beck and was like, that guy's amazing. So here he is in this movie because of that. So he went to, think about that. He went to that play and plucked Michael Beck for The Warriors and Sigourney Weaver for Alien.
So that's a pretty efficient showing right there.
Yeah, nice work. Nice work.
And went out and got a nice ham sandwich afterwards.
That's right. That's true. And a winning lotto ticket.
Yeah, that also.
Right.
We have Deborah Van Valkenburg as Mercy.
Yeah.
Of the famous Van Valkenburgs.
Yeah, she's very famous Van Valkenburgs.
And then we got the rest of the rest of the gang.
The rest of them.
Marcelino Sanchez as Rembrandt, David Harris as Coach Ice, Tom McKitterick as Cowboy, Brian Tyler as Snow, Thomas G. Waits as Fox, the same Thomas G. Waits who goes on to be Windows in The Thing.
Oh, yeah.
One of our all-time favorites as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Dorsey... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it. I thought you were done. I just want to make sure you didn't forget someone, but go ahead.
That's Cleon. Terry Mikos as Vermin. David Patrick Kelly.
I love me
as
some DPK.
Luther. Roger Hill as Cyrus, and then the aforementioned Lynn Thigpen as the DJ.
Yeah.
A lot of fun in this movie, Oz.
Oh, yeah. This movie is just fun.
So let's jump into that fun.
Yeah, really. I feel like, what was my movie 2 weeks ago? What did I have? It was...
World War Z.
Yeah, World War Z. Just very through line with a plot. Like, not a lot of extra. You know, we're not covering...
Not a lot of bobbing and weaving. Not a lot of intricate layers.
No, we're not covering a Pulp Fiction here. This is... or even, like last week's, Captain America: Civil War. This is a story of survival. Really?
Yeah. Very simple plot.
We get a very cool intro, and in which, like, all of the gangs of New York are descending upon a park. They're going to meet at midnight because the most powerful gang in New York, the Gramercy Riffs, led by Cyrus, not Cyrus the Virus, not John Malkovich.
No, not him. No.
Cyrus
the Virus.
He's called a meeting of all of the gangs in New York to basically say, listen, suckers, we outnumber the police 4-1.
It's not good odds for the police.
No. Like, we outnumber the police 4-1. Right now, we work so hard to just protect our little turf.
Mm-hmm. Our little patch. Everybody has their own patch.
Yeah, like, it's literally a block. Like, picture something the size of New York City and the boroughs, all the way up to Coney Island. In this movie, every block has its own gang.
Basically.
Pretty much.
You've got hundreds of gangs here.
Hundreds of gangs. And they all, like, if you are a male in New York, you're in a gang. You're either a cop or you're in the gang. There's your only two options.
You got two career paths.
Right. You do your day job, and then after hours, you go be in your gang.
It's called double dipping.
That's right. You're busy. Someone's got to run
two pensions. You get one from the cops and one from the gang. Good one pension plans. Those street gangs.
Dental and everything.
They get dental and vision. You don't get that in our field.
No, not at all. But Cyrus has just got this idea, and he even calls out, like, look around, everybody. Like, we're all here now, and there's no fighting. Like, we can do this. Yeah. And he asks
it can be done.
Can you dig it? And even though obviously the motive behind this is nefarious, like, Cyrus has got a point. Like, hey, why are we getting beat down by the cops when we could be the ones taking charge of this city? And all of this is interspliced kind of with, like I said, all of the gangs are on their way to this summit, including the Warriors from Coney Island. Of course, they're like way out there. Like,
like polar opposite ends of the city. Yeah.
It's like they're pretending to be city. Like, they don't even feel like they're really city, and they know it too. Like, they're a legit gang. That's one thing that does crack me up about this movie a little bit, because I was never in a gang, and I don't think you were either. But apparently, in major cities, especially in the late 70s, only full-grown adults are in gangs. This is not a teenage, like, 13 to 22. Like, oh, no. Like, I'm 27 years old, married with kids.
You must be going on your second marriage to be in the street gang.
Right. And that's how it feels. Like, they all are, like, you can't trick me into thinking that these are teenage kids. These are all.
You must be an angry divorced little league coach to be in our gang.
Exactly. Right. By day, because you're a gang member by night. So Cleon is the leader of the Warriors, and he's like, hey, we're going to go down there. We'll just feel this thing out. Like, Cyrus has called a meeting. We'll do this. So they all head down, and as one could expect, things go haywire. We see, I forget what David Patrick, Luther, that's right.
Yep,
Luther, the leader of his gang, the Rogues.
The Rogues? Yeah, the
Rogues. You can tell he's just no good. Now, he's not no good in the same sense that, like, all these other gang members are there, because obviously that they're violent folk. But he's just psychotic.
He's like the Joker. He's just in it for the lunacy and the chaos and the fun.
You took it right out of my mouth. He would have been like pre-Joker.
Just wants to watch the world burn.
Yeah. So he shoots Cyrus dead, and which, of course, we see the police who are aware of this summit rolling in under the skies of headlights up. Yeah, which was kind of a cool shot, because it's like, you almost felt like if it weren't for the Cyrus thing, like, here's your chance. Like, you say you outnumber them 4-1. Here's your chance to take down the police right now. But Luther fires off a shot.
Very dark movie, and by dark I don't mean the themes. I mean literally a dark movie.
Yeah,
almost the entire thing is set at night.
Yeah, everything's on location, and it was shot at night. And so Luther gets a shot off, kills Cyrus. One of the warriors, I can't keep track. All I know is Swan. I can't keep track of the rest of them.
I think it was Fox. Okay. Fox saw it.
Yeah, it was Fox. Fox saw Luther pull the trigger.
What did the fox see? And they all broke out into song.
All 100,000 of them.
They all broke out into song.
Luther realizes he's been seen, quickly points fingers at Fox, and the warriors killed Cyrus.
The warriors did it.
He did it right there. He did it. And
I love his voice in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's so like,
especially when he's like playing the victim.
Yeah,
the warriors did it.
Yeah, he's just so pathetic. I mean, I love David Patrick Kelly. Like, he's great in Commando. He's great in this because you just don't like him. Right? You just don't like him. I mean, there's nothing to like about him. And so
he does a great job of making you hate his character.
Yeah, you just do. And so really that's about the last major, like, there's your motivation for the plot. It's now the warriors are like, we've got to get back to our turf and we've got to do it safely, because they don't realize that they've been fingered for Cyrus's murder.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, we just got to get out of here. You know, they start to pick up as they go along what's happened. But like a video game, and I mentioned earlier, they've got to travel through, like, to get to the train, they have to go through various turf. And
like Scott Pilgrim versus the World could have been another.
Oh yeah, that would have been a great one. Yeah, it would have been a great one. And so, on their way back. So, like I said, I kind of lost my notes. There we are. So they've got to head back. The warriors escape, but again, not realizing that they've been fingered for Cyrus's killing. So the Riffs put out a hit on them.
Yeah, because
again, Cyrus was the leader of the Gramercy Riffs. They put on a hit on, and I just love the settings too. Like, you get the vibe, nothing in this movie was filmed on a soundstage. Like, they went and found some abandoned parking garage and filmed there or something like that.
I think I was reading the trivia. There was one sequence in a soundstage, and that was the bathroom.
Yeah, that's right. I did read that too.
Other than that, everything was on site, someplace, on location.
And so the Warriors are just ho-humming their way back across New York. We've got to get back to our turf, and that's really the goal. The Riffs put out a hit through the radio DJ, and I love how they did this. Like, they don't directly call out a hit. They reference them, and then they'll play some song that it's kind of like Christine in that sense of they're playing a song that's like the first song out there was, Nowhere to Hide. And of course the Warriors aren't listening to the radio, but everybody's hearing it. Swan takes charge of the group. Ajax basically wants to throw down, like, well, who made you war chief? What about me? Yeah. And it's like, well, you're not the main billing of the movie, so back off. So as they're headed to the train station, and they don't make it right away. As you mentioned earlier when we were talking about which gangs our Patreon subscribers would be a part of, the Turnbull ACs they're out for blood. Yeah. They're the ones in, like, this modified school bus. I'm sure they're way over the capacity of this bus.
There's more than 73 people there.
Exactly.
They don't even have the little first aid kit hanging up there anymore.
No, and they clearly took the windows down below the black bars. Which is big no.
No, you just don't do that.
But yeah, so they spot him and they're trying to run him down. The Warriors outrun them to get to a train. They figure we're home free. Like, we're good. We're just ride this to Coney Island and we'll be just fine. Well, the train gets stopped because there's been a building caught on fire near the tracks. They they have to leave the train. And that's when they start to realize, like, wait a minute here. Like like this fired, everything just was starting to feel like up against them. Like this fire was set by somebody. You know, this was an arson job to stop the stop the train, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So they're set out on foot, and they come across another gang. You know, they encounter the orphans, who. Another thing I really enjoy about this movie is, despite the crazy amount of gangs in the movie, like all the gangs have heard of each other.
Yeah.
Like,
they all are familiar with each other.
Yeah,
including the loser, like not gangs, like the orphans.
Right. They're like, who are these guys? These guys are so low they don't even register. You know, like,
yeah.
And you could and you know it because like they're just dirty.
Yeah.
That's
I like to think that. I like to think there's like a database that they all keep.
Yeah. There's like a directory.
You pay your like $99 annual membership fee to get access to the gang directory.
Yeah,
like the Professional Association of New York Street Gangs.
Yeah, it's like they're on Yelp. Like, you know, if you Google New York street gangs, you'll see like top 10 street gangs in New York, and the orphans aren't on there.
You into sports? Try the Baseball Furies.
More feminism? Try the Lizzies. And so they've got to walk through the orphans' turf. Of course, the orphans are, you know, they don't like that they're low status. They're trying to prove themselves or whatever. They were upset that they weren't even invited to Cyrus's meeting.
Mm-hmm. Just losers.
And, you know, Swan basically works it out with the leader of the orphans. He's like, you know, it's just no trouble, man. You know, like we're just going home. You know, we're not going to start anything. We'll be off your turf in no time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And the orphans are like, all right, you know. Well, because honestly,
okay.
I think they're looking at him and they're like, we all just have on the same color dirty T-shirt. You guys have embroidered leather vests. You're clearly more of a gang than we are.
I know we as we concluded last week's episode, we were talking about like the embroidery business in New York during this time.
It's huge.
And how much money there would have been in like just having like a local embroidery shop.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm sure it was a gang that ran it.
the embroidery gang.
The Stitchers. They're over on 40. They're over on 43rd. And so
we operate out of the old Woolworth.
That's right. You remember. So the orphans, I'm like, they're going to let the Warriors pass. The Warriors are like, they're on their way. And then we meet the real trouble of the movie, Mercy.
The wild card.
Who is, she comes out and basically, you know, she's, quote unquote, she's more of a man than the orphans are. She just calls it out. Like, there was no friction or trouble at all. And she's just like, you guys just going to let this happen? You're going to let this gang come on your turf and walk right on through? To which then, you know, Orphans leader is like, take off your colors. Like, and she's just trying to cause trouble. Like,
yeah, she's just trolling them.
She's just trolling them. She's bored. And so, you know, they kind of start this back and forth. Like, I love how Swan and the other Warriors just like nonchalantly throw together a Molotov cocktail. Like,
just happen to have one lying around.
It's like, give me a bottle, and then it rips off some shirt. It's like they all have their role in the Molotov cocktail design, and like blow up a car, and they take off to escape yet another gang. Make it to the same subway station, you know, and they escape the orphans. Only Mercy follows them. Because Mercy, you could tell, is she's a ladder climber, and she realizes right now she's on the bottom rung.
With the orphans,
With the orphans. So the Warriors make their way to, they end up at like 96th and Broadway, and they're in Manhattan now. And now the police are on the lookout because obviously there's this big gang to do. And so they get separated when they kind of they interact with the police a little bit. And they split up. So Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt jump on another subway car. We get kind of like Fox. Fox gets into a fight with a cop, and they're wrestling around on the ground. Subway comes in, and the cop just like chucks Fox out in front of the subway car, and that's it for Fox.
Yep, just like that.
Yeah,
we're down a warrior,
and some of them don't even know it because they got split up. Yep. And so Swan, Ajax, Snow, and Cowboy head off another direction. And this is where we meet the Baseball Furies.
Yeah, we do.
This is such a cool scene. Like, not just the presence of the two gangs, but just the way it was shot. I really love that hump in the sidewalk where they set the camera slightly below the hump so that when the Warriors are running from the Furies and it's just fixated on the sidewalk from a distance, and then you see the Furies come. Oh, it's such a cool shot.
Just come up over,
Just come, and because it's just a flat sidewalk with just enough of a hump. And so the Baseball Furies they're just face painted baseball jersey uniform wearing gang with baseball bats. It's almost like they come up out of a dugout to take the streets. And they come across these four, they're like Swan and the other three. And they're just this big, it's just a foot race. Yeah. Like the Furies outnumber these four, and it feels like they pretty much run all the way back to Coney Island.
They're sprinting for a while here.
And but it comes to a point where Ajax and crew are like, I've had enough of this. So they just turn and fight, and finds out that the Furies aren't all what they were cooped up to be, because these four pretty much took out the entire Furies gang. Actually, three. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said despite the Furies having baseball bats.
Yeah, they have baseball bats, and it's like it's a well choreographed fight scene. Like it felt real enough. You weren't looking at some like back flipping out of danger. It just was a lot of punches, and it was very Hacksaw Jim Duggan like.
A lot of 3-point stances, and then they charge at each other.
Exactly. A lot of ho. But the Warriors leave the Furies in just a heap. Like they're just strewn all about this park. And so they're riding high, these four: Swan, Ajax, Snow, and Cowboy. And they're headed back because they're like, we got to meet up. They're still in the park. We got to meet up with, with the rest of the boys. We're decided we're going to meet this spot. So they're traveling through this park still, Riverside Park. And, they pass a lady sitting on a park bench. No one, not just a lady, Mercedes Rule is who we have sitting on this park bench.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's sitting there, and Ajax is like, there's a woman by herself. Like, what do you expect me to do? Just walk past her and leave her alone?
Not sexually harass her?
No, like, hello, we're in New York. She'd be offended if we didn't do it.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm ugly?
Who's the jerk now?
Right. Guys, it's our civil duty. Woman alone in the park. So Ajax hangs back because he's going to get a little action, because it's a guarantee, I guess.
Got a lot of confidence. We'll give him that.
A lot of confidence. And so she kind of gets flirty. He gets overly physical. She's an undercover police officer. And
handcuffs him right to the bench. Yeah.
Starts blowing her rape whistle. The police show up because the police just apparently drive around the parks. It's not
the only place they are.
That was a walking path that they drove down. They were just there, ready. Always ready. And so Ajax is now out of the picture. He's been arrested.
He's gone.
I love how he starts begging her, like, come on, lady. Like, you just tried to rape her. Like,
come on, quit messing around.
Right, come to your sensibilities. Come on. I wasn't like
who's the real victim here? The white guy.
You're an undercover police officer, and I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to be doing. Harassing ladies in parks tonight.
All I'm doing is trying to sexually assault you at a park. Who's the victim?
I made it very clear. Like, come on. You
I'm not
seemed
a
into
good
it.
guy. You should have recognized that.
Yeah, like, you even cuffed me. I thought that was part of our shtick.
I thought the whistle was part of it too.
I thought we were really going places here. Fuzzy cuffs would have been nice, but whatever.
Yeah, you had to be authentic.
So Ajax out of the picture. They're all trying to head to Union Square, and Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt get there first. And here they are. I don't think they didn't realize yet that this is an all-female gang.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they did. I didn't get the impression that they knew who they were.
No, I think they thought they were just a group of flirtatious women.
That's what I thought too. Here's a bunch of bad women out at night, catcalling us gang members. Like, hey, let's go get a piece, because if Ajax can do it,
yeah. Well, I mean, they already encountered Mercy.
Yeah, and so that's right. She's still kind of looming around, and so Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt go back to the hideout of this Lizzie's. They don't even know they're a gang yet. And it's a lot of flirting, and it's really just like, hey, here's a bunch of women. You guys can make out with any of us that you want to. And the rest
Vermin
of us...
and Cochise are all about it. Rembrandt.
Oh, yeah. Rembrandt's
suspicious.
Very suspicious. And I love the part where, like, the two women that don't get chosen just do this, like, staring contest dance in the middle of the floor. Like, it's just such a 70s vibe. They've got a jukebox going, and basically, I think the Sirens would have been a perfect name for this, for this gang instead of the Lizzies. But because they call these men in and they're going to take them out. They know who they're dealing with. The Lizzies are aware these are the Warriors, and they're trying to use their sexuality to their advantage.
They weaponized it.
And it almost worked. If Rembrandt weren't paying as much attention as he was, they pull knives, they pull a gun. Rembrandt gets cut, but they do escape. And this is where they find out firsthand that the New York gang scene believe that the Warriors killed Cyrus.
Yeah. Rembrandt overhears one of them and realizes, like, we're being hunted.
Yeah. It's like they just thought we were having a rough time getting home because gangs be gangs. But no, like, the Warriors don't go home.
There's a reason why we keep running into trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So the rest of them get to the 96th Street station, which is where Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt fled from. Like, they go back to where they were. This is where Fox got killed too. I'm assuming, like, there's been enough subway that, like, Fox is now like roadkill. Like, you're not seeing his body lay off onto the tracks. You're like,
they came and hosed the tracks off.
Exactly. He's been pulverized. Swan heads to the station kind of as a lookout. Mercy joins him. They all get reunited, so they're all back together. Mercy really, she's basically trying to hitch her wagon to Swan. She realizes that she's a nobody. And it's sad, really. I've always felt sad for the Mercy character in this movie.
Yeah, me too. Because you get the feeling she's looking for belonging. She's looking for safety.
She's looking for acceptance.
Which is among the main reasons why people join gangs in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she really is looking for acceptance. She can't really accept who she is. She's very brave in what she says. Like, I love my lifestyle, but you see right through it. And so
she's putting out a front.
Like, and it was just sad. Even like when they're in the subway tunnel and she and Swan are, getting a little bit more physically aggressive with each other, and then he backs off. And she's just like, please, like, pleading him, like, just accept me, please. I need somebody's affection because I have none for myself.
It's like Madeline Kahn's character in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, in a way. After her night with Bart.
Yes, I never felt this way about nobody before. You are making a German spectacle of yourself.
The first and only time Blazing Saddles and the Warriors have been compared.
Yeah.
And so, they get... Everybody's reunited now, and then they come across another gang, the fourth gang of the night. Mm-hmm. The Punks. This is a gang on roller skates.
I never caught their name, so they were the Punks.
They're the Punks. And this is like the soundstage fight where the Warriors all go into the bathroom, and the Punks almost, I got the vibe of like, this is the cast of Dazed and Confused on roller skates. Like, that's just how I felt about these guys.
Mm-hmm. They're all just a slightly slow on the uptake.
Yeah, a little bit, very little Neanderthal. And so the Warriors are going to the bathroom. The Punks are like, we got them cornered, and they kind of follow them in, and it's a pretty sweet fight, really. Like the fight choreography in this movie is really good. Even Mercy kind of proves herself as valuable here. So she's kind of made her way in with the group a little bit. She stood her ground. Meanwhile, we still get the riffs and the DJ playing songs, getting things going. We revisit the riffs as one of their gang members. Again, the riffs are the largest gang in New York. Mm-hmm. One of their gang members gets their way up to leadership and tells them, like, hey, I saw Luther from the Rogues kill Cyrus. It wasn't the Warriors. Yeah. Like, I saw it. And being in the gang, in Cyrus's gang, like, he's got that instant credibility and authority of like, you've got no skin in the game when it comes to these other gangs. So who cares who we're going after? But the truth is the truth. So we need to go get, the truth is the truth. So let's go get the Luth. Or, yeah. It's been a long day.
I'm with you, Oz.
Thank you. So the Warriors finally get back to Coney Island. It's dawn. It's literally taking them all night to get there. And when they get back to Coney Island on their turf has been inhabited. Luther and the Rogues are there. Mm-hmm. And so, we get the very infamous David Patrick Kelly putting beer bottles on his fingers, clapping them together. Which I guess was
completely improvised.
Yeah. And he's calling, Warriors come out and play. I know it really is kind of chilling because it's like these guys fought so hard to get home. They're exhausted. They're triumphant, but not like they won battles, but not a war. And it's like now they're home and they're facing down probably the craziest gang they've had to face yet.
Yeah. The most unpredictable.
Yes. And so, Luther's got a gun. Swan challenges him, to just single combat. And that's when Luther pulls his gun. Swan is apparently in the Matrix because he dodges the shot. And
catches the bullet in his teeth like Weird Al at UHF.
Exactly.
Chews it up, spits it back at him.
Yeah, shoots down the entire game. But Swan dodges the shot, chucks his switchblade at Luther, and gets him like in the forearm. And, so he drops the gun. And this Luther again gets really pathetic now. So while they're out on the beach, like the Warriors took them down to the sand because like if we're gonna fight out here on the beach. Yeah. So you got the Warriors, you got the Rogues facing off, and then like the entirety of the Gramercy Riffs show up.
Yes, they all 700 Gramercy Riff members.
Right, they're all there at Coney Island. And basically Luther knows the jig is up.
It reminds me of at the end of Revenge of the Nerds when the real Tri-Lambs show up to support the nerd Tri-Lambs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the Riffs kind of open up a path so the Warriors can leave, and then they descend on the Rogues. Luther screams. DJ comes on, is like, the big alert's been called off, and kudos to the Warriors for making it back. You know, they basically you've earned our respect. You made it through New York. You fought down several gangs. We know we were wrong by targeting you to begin with, but you guys are true Warriors. Good for you.
Yep.
And then we get the debut of In the City. All right, by Joe Walsh, and that is it. They walk down Coney Island Beach, and that's the end of the Warriors.
They get an elephant ear under the carnival.
Right. They hop on. They hop on the Ferris wheel at 8 a.m. And that is folks, the Warriors.
That's the Warriors, yeah. At this point of the show, Oz and I give our own unique rating to the film we've been yapping about, 1979's The Warriors. Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this 9 Lizzies.
9 Lizzies.
Not 10. Not 10 Lizzies.
Not 10.
9.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day. So 9 Lizzies. What are you giving it?
I'm going to go with 60,000 street gang members.
Nah, that works. That works. So, nicely done.
Next up, we've got Outside Insights. Folks, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
I have a half-star review by J.R. Lang 25, left May of 2020, and he says, "Can you dig it? No, I cannot. I watched this movie because my dad recommended it. I'm surprised my dad has seen this movie. The gangs were pretty pathetic, and half the cast looked like people a gang would beat up. The main character is a Heath Ledger lookalike with the same hair and face with none of the talent. I was waiting for my dad's favorite part, where a guy keeps saying, 'Warriors, come out and play,' while he taps glass bottles together that are on the ends of his fingers. It was a 15-second scene at the end of the movie that wasn't as cool as I anticipated. Overall, not impressed. I can't get that time back."
Poor guy. Can't get that time back.
God, I can't believe my dad liked this.
Oh,
this movie was lame.
Stupid dad.
Yeah, dumb dad.
Quarters to go play the jukebox.
Bunch of Heath Ledger lookalikes.
Despite the fact that Heath Ledger wasn't even alive when this movie was shot.
No.
But he looks like Heath Ledger, not the other way around.
That's right. Yeah. Swan looks like Heath Ledger. So.
quit trying so hard to look like Heath Ledger, 1979 actor.
Who? Come on, Michael Beck. You know who you're trying to be. 2019 Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
So, what's your Outside Insight?
I'm going to share 2 really quick ones. They both go for the Internet Movie Database, and they're both 1 out of 10 reviews. The first one comes from Ed, left in May of 2010.
I love Ed's reviews.
Ed is the best. This is a truly awful, low-budget B picture. The acting is appalling. No wonder none of the actors were ever heard from again.
That's right.
Mel Brooks could have made a much better film. Maybe it was meant to be called The Warriors. Hey-o!
Maybe.
The other one comes from Elmer Flip. Elmer Flip, left in January of 2012. One of the most mind-numbingly awful movies I have ever seen. This is a microcosm of everything destroying America. Obsession with New York City, which for the past 50 years has denigrated into the most pathetic cesspool in America. Romanticized thuggery and debauchery. Silly obsession with the lowest and most idiotic people. The time wasted on this movie would be better spent reading a good book, napping, or playing with your dog.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Elmer Flip.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has a degree in thugonomics.
Whenever somebody uses the word debauchery, you kind of know where they sit on the political spectrum. Yeah.
Oh,
debauchery.
Yeah, for sure. Surprised he didn't be like, there's too many people of color in this film.
There's too much debauching.
Right. Quit being such a debauch.
Such a debaucher. All right, folks, it's that point in the show you've all been waiting for, our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question, The Warriors. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is the very simple plot. Loans a lot of time for like in-depth character analysis. I don't want to say character development, because we only saw these guys for literally a few hours.
Yeah, there's not a lot of development, and that's okay in this movie.
No, yeah, that's okay. But it did give us time to get to know the characters. And so, because they're, I mean, even from the jump, we knew who each person was. And so just the simple plot allowed you to just kind of go along for the ride. And I really enjoyed that. 2, I really enjoyed just the variety of gangs and their gimmicks.
Yeah.
It just reminded me a lot of like, late 80s era WWF of like
everybody's got a costume and a shtick.
Everybody's got a gimmick. Everybody's got a setup, even no matter how ridiculous it is. And so we saw a lot of really ridiculous gangs in this movie. And my third one is just the amount of energy David Patrick Kelly brings to his role in this movie. Everybody in this movie is pretty one note, which is fine. But then you get Luther, and that character is one note, but just amped up a little bit. And so by watching this, even when you got a movie full of gang members, you know who the bad guy is.
Yeah.
When in theory they're all the bad guy.
And I don't know if it's how he looks or I got a feeling it's the makeup, but like they made him look like he was just completely like coked out. Like kind of sunken eyes, with like the red around him and really like white pasty cheeks.
Yeah. Yeah. You could tell he doesn't rest well.
Yeah. For the 45 minutes of sleep he gets every night.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
All 3 of those were possible goods on my list as well. So I was kind of crossing them off as you were going. My 3 goods, I'm going to start with just the way they incorporated the radio DJ for the messaging. Again, this is the late 70s. This is pre-internet, pre-cable. So you use the radio. That's what
this was even still like pre like 50,000 FM channels. There's probably still a lot of AM stuff going on at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so just the way that they use the DJ to communicate the message, and also just the filmmaking aspect of it, the way they frame the shots, the really microphone and just the mouth and the lips, and the power that role had to literally and figuratively amplify the message and the plan. So love that. And let alone the performance.
Right. And picking her to be the DJ, it's like there aren't very many actresses of that era where all you could show was them from the nose down and who it is. And so she's one. I can't think of her name. You said it earlier and I just forget. But
is it Lynn Thigpen?
Yeah, Lynn Thigpen. She went on to host Where in the World's Carmen Sandiego. And after seeing The Warriors, I was like, hey, that's the woman from Carmen Sandiego. Tension, gumshoes. So, all right. I cut you off. Continue.
That's all right. So that's my first one. My second one, I'll go with the power struggle between Ajax and Swan.
Okay.
It's right in the beginning of the movie. Cleon was taken out in the scuffle. In the aftermath, the Warriors were blamed and he got kind of cornered, and his fate is kind of left up in the air as to whether he lived or died. But regardless, that's the last you saw of him. Right. So you saw this power struggle between the Ajax and Swan characters, and how Ajax was let's fight this out, to see who's there, and Swan's like, no, I'm the next warlord. And so I don't know, it was just fun that the way they framed
it's like, well, and it just shows like the instability of a gang, even of like the hierarchy has been broken, so now we got to measure ourselves to see who the next leader is.
And my last one, I love the scene with the orphans. Arguably my favorite sequence in the whole movie, because you see how pathetic they are and how wannabe they are and how desperate they are to impress the Warriors and kind of impress themselves in a way. they reeked of I'll keep using the word
Just,
desperation,
but
like,
you're right, desperation.
inadequacy. Like
Right.
they just reek of inadequacy, and the performances that, especially that lead orphan gave. Yeah, I love that scene. So those are my three goods. Oz,
Fair
what
enough.
are your two bads?
My first one was just with a very simple, like, result in mind, a very simple goal to get back to Coney Island. How often some of the warriors lost focus with Ajax completely like going off script to get with a woman, and with the three of them hooking up with the Lizzies. Like goal number one is get back to Coney Island, and yet here's collectively roughly half the gang at some point through the night has like, I got my own priorities, and so that's my first bad. It's just bad on the characters, not bad for the movie, because it happened for a reason. You had to thin them out at some point, but it's just like you guys are trying, like, literally, you're walking through war zone after war zone, and you're like, but what am I supposed to do? That woman's on the park bench by herself. And my second bad is, and I know it was, if you watched it on Plex, it was like the director's cut, where they added these like goofy comic book transitions. Yeah, I just found them really corny. That's very irritating. Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of them, but it was enough that it's like, by doing that, I felt like you really were taking the energy out of the desperation of the gangs.
Yeah, it kind of took you out of the moment in the film as well, and because it clearly wasn't done like that originally as well.
So those are my two bads. What do you got?
My first bad, this movie has homophobic and ableist language.
What? No, it doesn't. I don't think we watched the same movie.
Ajax uses not that F word, but a different F word.
The British cigarette word.
Yes, homophobic. I'll even lump into this one as well. Just like Swan threatening to sexually assault Mercy. There was parts of this movie, like a lot of movies of this era, Oz, have not aged well. As much as we enjoy this movie. Yeah. Yep. You gotta call those parts out.
Yeah. And those parts are not why we enjoy this movie.
Correct. My other bad is on me. For some reason, I always get James Remar and Michael Beck mixed up. Like when I hear someone, like if someone makes a James Remar reference, I immediately think of Michael Beck's face and the other way around. And so, and I forgot it again as I was watching the movie, and I'm about halfway through when I realized, wait, that's James Remar, that's Michael Beck, that's Ajax, that's Swan. So I had to go back and change all my notes because I kept getting them mixed up.
I want to know, what kind of circles do you walk around outside of the show where you're like, when somebody makes a James Remar reference, and I'm like, what kind of circles do you keep?
Very specific. I only talk to people who are familiar with the works of James Remar and or Michael Beck. All the time.
Which is why you only hang out pretty much with me.
That pretty much it, because you're the only one who makes consistent James Remar references.
I do my best.
So those are my two bads. So hey, Oz, what's your
I have two. My first one is, were there any areas of New York that were gang free? Like, with this many gangs and coming from this many boroughs, like, was Wall Street run by a gang? Like, was there any part, like Central Park, this is our turf. Like, it just felt like there's enough gangs to cover every square inch of New York.
Sbarro, the gangs, they want nothing to do with Sbarro.
Right? No, I don't blame them. And my second is, now I understand that they were kind of ready to throw it out, but how did neither gang see the Gramercy Riff show up on the beach? Their leader, their leader's like, hey, and they turn around, it's whoa.
It's like an Evil Dead 2 when the rest of them arrive to the cabin and Ash is standing in the middle of the room
Yeah.
like about 10 feet inside of the room, looking at the front door, and then what's his name? The big, oh God, I forget the character's name, but the big guy just like tackles him. Like you said you had to see him coming.
Yeah, he was 10 feet away from you.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of like when in like Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf comes up over the hill with the riders of Rohan.
Yeah.
I think it was Rohan. And like, you know, and that's when they noticed here comes, but imagine like the orcs don't see them come over the crest. They only notice them when they're like 3/4 of the way down the hill already. And I'm like, how did you miss that? But yeah, it's the largest gang of New York showing up on the beach, and you didn't see them, you didn't hear them. Like they just were a bunch of ninjas that just snuck up on you. So,
oh hey, didn't see you there.
Oh whoa, the Gramercy riffs. Warriors, whoa, where'd you guys come from? I think I crap my pants. So, what's your hunt?
My hunt, I had trouble coming up with a hunt. So, sometimes I don't know. It's like this was a little earlier in the movie than later in the movie because it debunks it. But I originally put down at some point as I was watching, are the train stations like safe zones, or like when you're playing tag when you call something base.
Right.
And eventually they ran into the punks at a train station, and I get that. Right. But like kind of early on, like they get to a train, you know, they're getting chased down the street by the AC Turnbulls. Right. And then they get to the train and you don't see them at all.
Right. Same with the orphans. Orphans are chasing them, they get to the train and they're like, whoo, you know, home base.
Yeah.
You're right. It's almost like, well, and you figure even the gang world has to have rules, you know, like you feel that there's some kind of unwritten code between all the gangs that, you know, you don't go on another gang's turf. But yeah, it might be of like, hey, you can't jump, no fighting on the trains, something like that, because I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. That's a good question. So, the safe zones. So
yeah, like tag.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
folks. Yeah, that's the Warriors.
Done. Yeah, that's the Warriors. We're almost done with November. What are you wrapping up the month with?
Originally, we made a pivot at the last minute, Oz.
That's
so
okay.
Originally, we were going to end with the Jet Li, Jason Statham movie War, to be kind of more literal with how we ended things. But we decided to take a pivot at the last minute, and instead of doing that, because, and not to spoil things, but I think that movie would have been too close to our December theme.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, easily.
So we're instead going to end this month with the 1983 Matthew Broderick film War Games.
Yeah,
Whether it's one word or two words, Oz, we're watching War Games.
Well, you learned something today because it's one word. Can't find this movie anywhere. We'll try the one word. Oh, there it is.
It's one word. Oh, okay.
It's their fault for making it one word because it's a 2-word title.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about AI and nuclear bombs and the Cold War.
We are now 40 years after this movie came out. I have not seen this movie in its entirety.
I have not either. I've seen parts of it. I have not seen it from beginning to end.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the premise of just because we're film nuts and that's what we know. But yeah, I've never seen this movie from front to end. So,
well, that's going to change here in the next couple of days, my friend.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Social media-wise, you guys could find us Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Patreon link down below. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know if you were going to be in a New York street gang from this movie. What gang would you be a part of? What gang would you be a part of?
Are you asking or are you telling?
Yes, I'm asking you now. Yeah. If you were in one of these gangs, which gang would you be part of?
I don't know. I would be a part of like the Redbeard Society.
I could see you as a Baseball Fury.
Yeah,
I can.
As long as I get to wear cleats,
right,
and wear my stirrups up high,
and your stirrups high. That's
and wear a cup
and a cup, because you normally wear face paint anyway.
Yeah, and I also normally wear a cup too. You can't be too safe, folks.
Not in your house.
No, face paint and a cup.
What
about you?
I would probably be a member of the punks.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. Like, I could see myself doing something stupid, like, hey, they're all cornered in the bathroom. Let's go get them. So,
have you ever seen the Malcolm in the Middle episode where Hal is on roller skates?
No.
Oh.
I could have stopped you at, have you seen that Malcolm in the Middle episode?
Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle, underrated show. Very underrated. Pretty much just for the parents.
One of my favorite underrated shows is The Adventures of Pete and Pete from Nickelodeon. That show was funny.
I've never seen it.
It's a funny show. A lot of cameos on there too of people that you're like, really, you're in that show? Yeah. It just had that style of humor that that people would just kind of gravitate to, like celebrities would just be like, yeah, I'll be on the show.
Okay.
Felt the same way with like Yo Gabba Gabba. Like,
yeah, I had a feeling we were gonna have a Yo Gabba Gabba reference coming up.
I love Yo Gabba Gabba, but that's it. Already dropped the social media stuff, and we'll be back to wrap up November and debut our December theme.
Yes,
next week.
New theme will be debuted next week.
So, for another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you guys next week when we talk about war games.